grade lesson 110. This is on simple interest and compound interest, and then also successive discounts. Now, let me explain something to you. This is actually something you'll use in your life every day. You're going to hear about principal, and it's not the principal of the school, principal and interest when we're talking about math or numbers. Okay? So a principal is the amount that you put into the bank. So for example, let's say I said I wanted to put $100 into the bank. Okay? That was my principal payment. The interest is what the bank will pay me. So if it's a 10% interest, I take 10% of that, and that's what I gain every year. Okay? Do you see what I'm saying? Now, you can also, if I buy a house, then I pay the principal, but I also have to pay the interest. So not only do you have to do principal and interest when you buy things, but also when you deposit things. So it can go either way. Whether you're giving or taking, you're going to have to do principal and interest. That's the first amount. That's the amount after we get the interest. Okay, so for example, if I put $100 into the bank, into a savings account, and it was going to gain 10% interest every year. Well, I did 10%. It's actually 6% in the book. But 10% is easily defined for 100. Okay? So 10% of 100, you basically just move your decimal one spot over. 10% of 100 is $10. So after my first year of banking, I would get 10 extra dollars because 10% of 100 is $10. So I would have, after the first year, how much money?
$110.
Okay, so that would be, so if I did 10% of $100, help me figure this out. How would I actually do this problem? What is of in math? Times. And then you can never leave 10% as a percent in a problem. You have to make it into a decimal. So what would this change to? 10% will become 0.10 because you just go 2 spots over. Okay? So if I did 10% or 0.10 times that, then I would equal $10. Okay? This is $100 and I take 10% of that, it's going to give me $10. I'm not actually going to do the work, but that's what it's going to give me. So that's why I added $10 to this 100, and so after the first year it'll be $110. You get it? Mm-hmm. All right. Now, after the second year, we would add 10 more dollars, and what would it be? 120. After the third year, we would add 10 more dollars, and it'd be 130. So because I gave the bank $100 and it accrued 10% interest each year, how much money do I have at the end?
130.
So how much did I gain?
30.
30. You see how that works? Just because I left it in the bank for 3 years. Okay? That is what we call simple interest. Simple interest. Alright? The next thing you're going to learn about is compound interest. Now stay with me. The very first year of compound interest is the same. You see this? I made $10 because 10% of $100 is $10. So $10 plus 100 makes 110. But the second year, everything changes. The third year, everything changes. Fourth year, etc. with compound. And let me tell you why. Now, that's my new number. And now I'm going to take 10% of that number. Not of the original number. 10% was just $10 every time. But now let's find what 10% of this is. So what I have to do for compound is 110 times 10%. So 10% changes to 0.10. Okay? And 10% of this is going to make $11, not 10. Now, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal. So I'm going to add $11 instead of 10 because 10% of this number, this new number.
So now it's 121.
Now it's 121. Okay? Now, let's do the third year. Okay? Again, with compound interest, you take the new amount. You don't just keep adding $10 every time. You find out what is 10% of this. 10% of changes to times. 10% of that. Okay? Again, of math becomes times, and then 10% becomes 0.10. So what is 10% times that? Well, if I did the math, basically what ends up happening is, if I did 121 times, actually let's do it on our calculators to make it easier. So, whoops. So actually write this down. 121 times, and because we're doing 10%, 10% changes to
12.1.
12.1. Okay, so we're not just doing $10. No, we're doing 12.1, which is 12.10 cents. Okay? So I have $121, and I'm going to add 12.1 almost. And so I'm going to add this, and that equals.
Oh, it's add.
That becomes 2 plus 1 is 3. Okay, now we end up with 133.10 after the third year. Now, there is a really simple way of doing this. So I'm going to show you something. Okay? So I'm going to leave this up for just a minute and show you something.
It's only adding $3 though, right? Then
Pretty much, yeah.
simple interest.
But if you'll see after about 15, 20 years, it makes a huge difference. So, look at the book on page 763. You tell me if you can see this on the book. Can you see that?
A little bit closer.
Okay.
That's good.
Okay, do you see this?
Yes.
On the left side, it says the number of years. 3, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. 50 years. You left it in the bank. Okay? With simple interest, let's say I put $118 in the bank. After 10 years, I'd give 160. After 30 years, I'd have 280. After 50 years, I'd have $400. Pretty good, but I left it in there for 50 years. Compound, I took the same amount, 118, put it in, and each year it accumulated. As you can see, in 50 years, I would have gained $1,842 versus $400 by doing compound. Okay? So, taking 10% or 6% or whatever percent of the new number, the new amount, every time gets bigger and bigger.
Do you pay the bank to get compound interest?
Well, you have to sign up for, do I want simple or compound?
Why would you do simple?
I don't know. There's really no reason. Okay?
Is it cheaper? No.
Well, a lot of times probably people, the only reason they do simple is to keep it in there for short terms. Like I want to keep it in there for 2 years.
Yeah.
You know. But if I'm doing something long term, definitely better do compound. Okay? You see that? All right, now, I want you to see something really quickly. All right? Do you see how, remember how I told you we were going to be doing 100 times 0.10, 10%? And that tells me what? What does this answer tell me? If I take 100 times 10%, which is 0.10, what does that tell me? It tells me the amount that is added to the $100. Because watch this. 100 times 0.10. Now watch this. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2. So how much is added?
$10.
$10. Okay? So $100, if I take 10% of $100, how much is 10% of $100?
What?
What is 10? This is $100. And if I take 10% of $100, what is 10% of $100? $10.
Yeah.
$100 times 10%. Remember 10% of in math means times? Okay, so watch what I'm going to do. You see me add that 1?
Mm-hmm.
Watch what happens. Now let's do the math. One, two. What does it tell me?
110.
It tells me the final price. Isn't that cool?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's kind of hard to grasp. Okay, but watch this. Watch what happens. 100 times 1.10, 1.10 equals $110. You see that? Watch this. I'm just going to hit equal. What's the second year?
121.
121. I'm going to hit equal again. It's kind of cool that calculators can do this. They're taking the exact same thing times this and doing it over and over and over. So I'm going to hit equal again, which does that over. And what do I get?
133.1.
133.1. Isn't that cool?
Mm-hmm.
How you can do that? Now, so we know what it is after the third year. Let's figure out what it's going to be after the fifth year. So 4, 5.
161.051.
Okay, 161.05. Okay, let's do 10 years. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
259.374.
Okay, let's figure out what it's going to be after 20. That's 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
672.74999.
Okay, 672.7499, so I'm going to change it to 75. All right, we started with $100. And when we did compound interest over 20 years, I end up with
600.
Now, could you imagine if I put in 1,000? Okay, so
That'd be like 6,000.
yeah, I mean it would be astronomical. Okay, so look what these people did. So let's take because we're doing 10%. That's my 10%, that 0.10. But then I add this 1, and that kind of multiplies this already. So stay with me. Let's do 1,000 this time. 1, 0, 0, 0. 1,000 times, we're going to do 10%. So 10% is 0.10, but I'm going to add that 1 in the beginning. 1.10, and that kind of gives me the answer automatically. So that's what it would be after 1 year. So I had 1,000, now I have 1,100. Okay, now I'm going to hit, let's do 20 years. So I started off with 1,000, and I'm going to do 20 years. Ready? That was 1 year. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Dang. $6,727.50. $49.99. So it would round to 50. So I put in $1,000, and after 20 years of keeping it in the bank at 10% interest, I end up with this. Isn't that cool?
Mm-hmm.
How that works? Do you understand it?
Yep.
All right. So now let's look at example 2 and help me discover the answer to this one. Listen. Use a calculator to find the value of 12 years
With what?
of a $2,000 investment. They put that in the very beginning, but it doesn't earn 10%. It earns 7.5%. Now, stay with me.
How do you do a half one?
That's what we're fixing to do. 7.5 is
So
7.5, but that's still 7.5%.
So it's 0.7.
Yep, because watch this. 50% is, we move it 2 spaces over, 0.50. So 7.5% would become, we move it 2 spots over, 0.075. Do you get that?
Okay.
Okay, so now stay with me. All right?
How many years do you want me to do it?
If I'm doing, almost, if I take 2,000 and I'm doing 75% of that, yeah, Okay? But did you add your 1?
Oh.
Because if you don't add your 1, what this 1 does is we add the 2,000 into it, because 2,000 times 1 is 2,000. So then it's the 2,000 plus whatever this is. Do you get it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's do that.
2,000 times 1.075.
1.075. What'd you get?
And then I do it times 12 years.
Yeah, well tell me that first one. First year is what?
2,150.
Okay, now let's do it 12 times. So that was 1, 2, 3.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 4,763.
Okay, so after 12 years, $4,763 and 55, but it has a 9 after it, so 56. Very good. Isn't that cool?
Uh-huh.
So how that works? So you gained what? 2763 just by keeping it in the bank for 12 years. Okay? So that's how that works. Do you see the importance of that 1? Because if you don't put that 1, it only tells you how much.
Yeah, it was like 7.
Yeah. If you don't use that 1, then it only is telling you how much to add to this. But when you add that 1, it automatically adds this with it. I know that may be confusing. That's actually what happens. Alright? Feel like you got it? Alright.
Mm-hmm.
Now this next one, stay with me. Alright, this one may be a little bit confusing because here's what it says. Calculate the interest earned on an $8,000 deposit. Holy cow, right? Okay? Calculate the interest earned on an $8,000 deposit, but they're only going to keep it in there for 9 months. Now, stay with me for
So you
just a minute.
can't click equal once.
Well, they tell me that the annual interest rate is 6%. So I'm just going to write down everything. Okay? But how many months is this for?
1 year.
1 year, which is
12.
12 months.
So
Okay,
that's
stay with
minus-
me. Almost. So yes, you're going to have to, yes, you're right. But stay with me. Okay, so let's go and figure out what it is for the whole year, because that's going to help us. So let's do 8,000 times 6%. And what would
6? Right?
almost 50% would become 1, 2 there. 6 would be
So it's
percent
0.06.
0.06. So times 0.06.
480. Oh,
Okay, but let's go on and add.
the 1.
Well, no, let's don't. Because, well, okay, let's do it without. What is it without?
480.
480. So that's the amount I need to add to it. So it would be 8, and 8,000 plus 480 would be 8,480. So if I did 8,000 times 1.06, go on and do that.
It's 8,480.
It equals that. Right, I just went on and added it. Okay, good. Now, but we don't actually want to do the 1 on this one, and let me tell you why. Because this is the amount that he's going to earn after keeping it in the bank for 12 months. But he's not going to keep it in the bank for 12 months. He's only doing it for 9. So, let's figure out what he makes each month. So,
Okay, then we
480 divided by 12 would be 440. Okay? So then, if he got $40 a month added to this 8,000, and he did 9 of them,
then
40,
40 times 9.
which is 360. So, how much did he get added to that?
So it's 8,360.
360. Okay? So, what did they ask for the final price? Calculate the interest of what he earned. So, they don't want to know what is the total, they just want to know what he earned.
So
And
it's
he earned
360.
360. Very good. Good job on that. You figured that one out good. Alright, now, that's the end of that portion, okay? And now we're going to learn about successive discounts, okay? And it's somewhat related to compound interest, okay? But here's what I want you to do. You're going to draw a ratio box. This is our last thing and you're done, okay? There's only one problem with this. So stay with me. Draw this on your paper. Remember the ratio box?
Mhm.
You're going to be doing percent and actual count. Okay, go on and draw that on your paper.
Okay. I got it.
Now, when you're learning about sales price has gone up or sales price has gone down, or this shirt is 70% off when you buy it. Things like this is what you're going to draw. Okay? Now, it's going to have 3 boxes, so draw that on yours.
Okay.
It's going to have 3 boxes. And here's what you're going to write whenever you hear things like that. This shirt is 75% off. Or this appliance went up 30%. Or whatever. This is what you're going to draw. The first one is going to be original. Original. I'm just putting a ridge. Okay? Original. And then the middle part is going to be how much it goes up or down. So I'm going to put the change plus or minus. And then the last one is the new price or the new percent. Okay, you staying with me? So now listen to this problem. An appliance store reduced the price of a $400 washing machine. I'm just going to write down some key information. It's $400 and they're going to reduce, change, 25%.
Okay.
All right? And then when the washing machine did not sell at this price, it reduced it 20%.
So that's 45, right?
Right. Well, yes, that's one way you can do it. Okay, so let's figure out what we're going to do here. Okay. Always, 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 your original price or your original percent will always be 100%. Okay?
Okay.
All right. That's the most important thing that you can write on these.
And then
Okay.
the other one is going to be 400, right? The actual count original?
Right, right. So the original price was 400. Good job. Okay. Then the store reduced it 25%, but then it didn't sell, so they reduced it 20 more. So how much did it reduce?
Right?
It reduced, now so that means it reduced, which is minus 45%. Remember this is 100%, and so this is 45%. So what is our new percentage that we're paying? 45 from 100 is 55. Okay? 55%. All right. Well, what are they asking? What was the final price, the clearance price of the washing machine? Guess what we're going to do? We don't know what the washing machine price, remember the actual count, the new price. Got it? So you remember what to do on these? You take the information you know everything about in a row. We know both of these. And the one we want to know about, the row that we need to. And guess what you're going to do? You're going to put them on top of each other. 100 over 55 equals 400 over W. W means washing machine. Now, do you remember what to do when you have equals? Cross multiply. So now, this is a W times 100, which is 100 times W, equals?
The other one's 22,000.
What is it?
22,000.
22,000 or 2,200?
32.
Oh, wait, 22,000. 22,000. Okay, so 400 times 55 was 22,000. Good. And now, I'm trying to get my W by itself. Okay? So, times 100, and move it becomes divided by 100. So, tell me what W is.
22 divided by 100. 220.
220. All right. Now, I want to check something because I'm wondering if doing it this way, if we should have figured out the answer to this first, then taking, we should have. Because we're taking 20% of the new price. But that was good thinking.
Yeah.
I actually thought it might work too. But we're actually reducing it 20% of the new price after we took 25 away. You see how we messed up?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're not going to do 745 right there. We're going to start with 25. That would have been easier though.
Yeah.
If they originally would have just done 45%, this would be correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's take 25% and minus that, so then it becomes 75%. Okay, so now, instead of this being 55, it's going to be 75. So do the math for me. 400 times 75. Tell me what that is.
30,000.
30,000. Okay, and then W times 100 is 100 times W. And then I'm going to move the times 100, so I'm going to divide by 100. So what does my W equal?
300.
300. Now, that's our new price. That's what we did wrong, 300. Now we're going to reduce it 20 more from the original price, per se. Okay? And what is 100 minus 20? Because we're reducing it, minus is 80. So now, help me out with this one. We're going to go 100 over 80 equals 300 over W. All right, help me do the math. 300 times 80.
So 300 times 80 is 24,000.
24,000. And then 100 times W. All right, and so then we're going to get W by itself. So times 100 goes across. It becomes divided by 100. So what does
240.
240.
It's taking off that
Final
last
price.
zeros every time.
Okay? Final price 240. Okay? That's how you would do that. And that's lesson 110.